You'll be hearing plenty more of that in this new film. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the film Whiplash, which is a film that came out last year, and it was nominated for quite a few Oscars back when the Oscar ceremony for the 2014 year happened. And believe it or not, I'm probably one of the last people who actually finally get around to watching this movie. And it's like I said, it's got a lot of Oscar buzz when this first came out. So Whiplash is a film, you guys, where a first year student at a music college or a music university, I guess you could say, um, gets an opportunity to be a part of this really well known band with a really well known instructor. And he's basically getting the best college education in music he can get, according to what he was constantly referring to early on in the movie. And basically he gets into this band, and it's has this really harsh instructor. Like, he'll throw things at students, he'll doesn't mind slapping students in the face or insulting them to basically get them to become better musicians than what they currently are before they joined his class. And he really sees a lot in Miles Teller. He really thinks he could be this really great musician if he is pushed to the limits and really brings out the best of himself and really goes beyond the point to where what he thought he could do as a drummer. And so basically throughout the course of the film, it's him trying to realize what's too much, what's too little, how much does he have to practice, and really try to push himself to the limits as this drummer. And series of events happen, the stress gets really overwhelming for him after a while, and so the film really plays off that quite a bit. So overall, guys, Whiplash, I really enjoyed this movie. I can see why it got nominated for an Oscar, but at the same time, I can see why it didn't quite win Best Picture, because it is a very well made movie, but I wouldn't say it's the best film of 2014. You kind of know what I mean? It's not like the best film we had last year, but it's a very well done, notable movie that came out last year. So overall, for my positives, I think the film does show just how competitive and in a dangerous way too of how the music industry is. It's really competitive. Only the best of the best can basically move forward to becoming a really well-known musicians and get an album and a label with a music company, and just it's just a really competitive industry. And Whiplash does a very good job just showing us, even at a college level, before these musicians go on to become famous or do whatever they do with their music, it really just shows just how competitive music is, and that really only the best of the best can really move forward with something interesting and powerful to say as far as music goes when they get to that level. J.K. Simmons is in this film, and he won an Oscar for this film as well, and I can definitely see why, because he gave a great villainous performance here. Very, very good. Very, like you really can't, he's very much the main focus. He's a very big, notable aspect of this movie. He just really becomes this character. After playing, his role in the Spider-Man movies. I'm kind of my mind's all over the place right now. His villainous role from the Spider-Man films definitely helped him out here in Whiplash. I mean, he definitely is unlikable in a good way, like likable in a villain way. So it really worked well for this movie. The film also shows the brutality of college stress, just how it really kind of takes over you after a while. I myself can say, from being in college at one point in my life too, that it's a very stressful place. That it's a place where you have to figure out how to do fit in homework, fit in studying, fit in projects. Being able to balance your time and your money and your jobs if you have that on top of that. And the film really just show just how stressful everything can be after a while once all the things pile up on you. I also like how Whiplash is kind of like a Black Swan styled story. It really feels like, somebody who's already a part of a really big notable thing, and they're already really good at what they do. But, obviously their instructor really pushes them to become this huge ideal of themselves, and push them to a way that they would never see them become that person or that thing that they envision themselves as. So I definitely saw kind of a Black Swan style story here as far as drummers go, just like how Black Swan was for ballet dancers. The film's also very passionate about music. You can definitely tell the director, possibly the writer, possibly the producer, and the people involved are very passionate about music. It's about playing the music and knowing what is what, and knowing what tempo is and all that other kind of stuff. So quite clearly, everybody involved with this movie really had a passion for music, and it really showed. It really worked quite well for the film that they were going for. For my negatives of Whiplash, and I kind of have to be careful with some of these because it might go into spoiler territory if I'm not careful. There is some kind of weak believability factors in this movie. Just things that happen to Miles Teller's character, the lead drummer of the movie, and you're kind of shocked as to, okay, it was that one thing really that important to show up to, or was that important, and was that really that important? And basically, after a while, this guy really just kills himself over really small stuff or things that most normal human beings would just go to a hospital to, or really go to that family emergency, or go to that bus to that more important thing. And there's just a lot of things in here that are handled in a certain way where it's like, okay, I don't quite believe that. I think a real everyday person would not execute that thing the way that Miles Teller's currently doing it. I also felt that Whiplash kind of had a strange ending in a sense that it felt like it didn't want to end, but it ended anyway. And I can see, why they did it the way they did. But to me, it felt kind of like a strange way to end a movie. And not only that, but there was a lot of tons of loose ends actually with what they did with what they went with. So kind of a weird way to end a movie for me. I also felt that Whiplash needed more time away from the drum set. There's a lot of time spent with this movie with Miles Teller on a drum set with J.K. Simmons yelling at him, and they're in a classroom all the time, a classroom environment. And we really don't get to see a lot of things that happen outside of that. We don't get to see. Um, I would have liked to have seen more of like Miles Teller recovering from an injury or recovering from like it happens in the movie. Like we see him like in his dorm room, or out with a girl that he's on a date with, or small stuff like that, but it doesn't really spend a lot of time with that stuff, and I really wish it could have, just because I think for character development purposes and really showing that this guy was a human being outside of this classroom, I think I would have liked to see more of that kind of side to the story than what they went with, because like I said, it spends a ton of time on a drum set, or this guy in a classroom somewhere. And I really would have liked to have seen more scenes where we get to see more of his personal life and things that are going on for him outside of the classroom. Whiplash to me also is one of those kind of films where you really enjoy with what you're watching, you really liked what you just watched, but I really can't see myself coming back to this film numerous times. It's definitely like a really good one watch kind of film. It's kind of the perfect rental. It's you really enjoyed what you watched. You don't feel like you were cheated out of your money for the rental, but at the same time you really can't see yourself buying this on DVD or buying this on Blu-ray or watching this several more times. I don't think Whiplash quite has that value to it. So a good one watch film, but nothing more than that. Overall, I'm going to give Whiplash an 8.5 out of 10. It does have a lot to say about music. It does have a lot to say about the brutality of being competitive and really pursuing something that's very difficult to get into. But like I said, that there was some weak believability factors, a really weird ending. Um, like I said, I really can't see myself watching this numerous more times, and I really would have liked to see more scenes that happen outside of Miles Teller drumming or Miles Teller in a classroom. I think that would have really benefited the film, and it would have possibly have made an even better film as a result. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really like the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely rent it. I wouldn't say buy it. Just rent it and see if you like it. Because, like I said, for me personally, I can't see myself watching this numerous more times. So I will see you guys here for a future movie review. And like I said, feel free to rent Whiplash if you haven't seen it yet. It's worth the rental, but it's not quite worth a DVD or Blu ray purchase.